Welcome to the NYBS radio show, home of the New York Bigfoot Society.
What's up, Bigfoot Nation? This is Gary Hoot and Holler with you, and welcome to another episode of Bigfoot Radio from the NYBS team. All right, so tonight, this is a cool show. I'm really stoked about this show. This is our second show. We got the first one out of the way, so everything should be hopefully, smooth sailing, easy peasy. We already have some, no problems with the intro this week, so booyah, we're doing good. All right, so we're stoked. Like I said, we have a special guest that's going to be on with us tonight in a little while. She had a Bigfoot encounter up in the Adirondacks, and that is tonight's episode, Bigfoot in the Adirondacks. I can tell you that our research areas are mainly in the Adirondacks. Basically the 7 years of research that I've been doing up there, we've come out with some really good stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. Also tonight, what we're going to be doing is showing some clips from the Adirondacks from different things that we've done up there, some, possible Bigfoot evidence type things, audio clips. So what I suggest, I don't know how loud this, the radio station is and things like that, because I can only hear myself. So if you have headphones or anything like that and you want to plug in, I would definitely just plug in and listen that way, so that way you can definitely hear all the different things that we're going to show. Or if you have good speakers or a speaker, they could just crank that chumpy up, so you could definitely hear what we're going to be talking about. With that said, it's a little bit longer show tonight. We're going 45 minutes, so we don't have to rush as much, and we don't want to rush our guest either when we're talking to her and asking her questions. And at the end of the show, what we're going to do for the first time is we're going to have you guys call in. So if anybody would like to call in, the numbers should be on the thing that you're watching right now. If not, we posted it up on the Facebook page. Excuse me. And you can look there, or you could call us in at 646-716-9928. So feel free toward the end. We'll just get some questions answered. Ask anything Bigfoot related. We'd love to hear. This is your everyday people show. All right. Like I say, we do this. We enjoy doing it, but the reason that we do it is we're everyday people looking for answers. It's nobody's an expert, all right? We're all equals here, all right? That's the good thing about our show. We're all equals. So with that being said, let's start the night. All right. So I'm super excited for this. I've been waiting all week to basically do this, and here we are. So we're just going to do some clerical stuff, all right, and before we get into our guest. Basically, we have the ambassador program that I've talked about before on the Facebook page. I talked about in last week's episode. Basically, I'm in the finalizing the process to become an ambassador. What an ambassador is basically it's a spotter. So wherever you are throughout the state of New York, if you're interested in become one of our spotters, you would basically help us with spotting and with, basically reports. Upon giving us the reports, then we would come out and you would come out and research with us. So it's a way that, you don't have to be full-time doing this. You can get out and just kind of get your feet wet in what Bigfooting is and what we do and use all the cool gizmos and gadgets that we use and just have fun in the woods. So the finalizing process is being done now. So I already have a bunch of emails, so we will be sending that out very soon. I've been very busy with other things. April 12th at the Middleburg Library in Middleburg, New York, I will be having a Bigfoot lecture, okay? That will be at 7 p.m. So if you want to come out, talk Bigfoot, see all sorts of things Bigfoot, listen to clips, things like that, come on out. It'll be a good time. And it's just cool to be able to be with like-minded people and just talk all things monsters, all right? So we have that coming up. I basically listen to what everybody says on the Facebook pages. I try to comment with you guys all the time, and ladies, talk to you. I think it's really important. It's like I like talking, and basically, as you see, and but I like to comment. So thank you guys for commenting all the time. And we try to get back to you, and I get back to you as soon as I can, and try to hit all the comments. We've been really listening. I'm always for feedback. We want your experience to be the best that we can make it. I would love to put up evidence every single day. That would be amazing. But unfortunately, as we know in this field, it doesn't work that way. It's very hard to find the evidence that we want. Also, my team, we only put out cream of the crop. So if it's questionable in any way to me, or if I can debunk it in any type of way, then I'm not going to show it to the general public. So we only put cream of the crop, hence why we don't have as many things as maybe some other people show, because we really scrutinize what we do. We take what we do seriously, and, basically we really want to put out the best stuff. I mean, we want this to be a serious field of research, what we do. So we do it that way. But whenever we do find those things, we put them up. So there will be audio clips coming up also. I'm in the process of, basically, mocking up the audio. So we'll be starting to slowly post some audio clips. So look for those in the future, okay? What we're doing now is to make the Facebook page a lot easier. We're categorizing everything because I know not everybody's interested in what we talk about on there. We post, a lot of outdoorsy stuff. So from now on, if it's a Bigfoot thing, we'll put Bigfoot as the caption. If you're into learning and things and education, we're putting education on there. So it's about learning about the outdoors, and techniques like that. Any kind of other monster crypto, we've been talking about giants recently, we'll put crypto. So we're kind of, basically categorizing everything. So if you look at it quick, and you can decide if you want to read it or not. We do post a lot of stories up there, and, the stories are important to us because this is what we do, and everybody has a story. So that's why we post a lot of stories, and, share with you. And a lot of our guests on our pages don't know anything about Bigfoot. So constantly we're getting new guests, and we're trying to educate them as much as, the people, that are listening to the show that have been doing this forever. So it's important that we educate everybody. So with that, so we're doing that now to make everything a little bit easier. We tidied up our video page and our picture page, so we now have all the pictures in one evidence folder, so you can just go there, check it out, see what you like, what you don't like, what you agree with, what you don't agree with, and kind of go from there with it. With that. And that's basically it on the Facebook page. Thank you for all your feedback. You say we listen, so and we change it the best we can for everybody. I was asked about our website recently, and we're redoing our website. The website that we were using before was very expensive, and it wasn't user friendly really. It just never worked. So we're in the process of getting a brand new website, moving everything over to that website. So just bear with us for a little bit. Like I say, we do this volunteer. We volunteer to do this, but it does cost money on our end. So with that being said, we're kind of moving into a different website, and And once we get that up and going, we'll have all of our, radio clips on there, audio, all that stuff, pictures, all the stuff that you can look at, all Bigfoot stuff with that. Last but not least, on clerical, before we get to our guest, we're going to be making a YouTube channel with all of our radio shows on that also. So people that can't really maybe come to this avenue to basically listen to us, we'll be making a YouTube channel, and you can listen to our shows there. Plain and simple. We'll probably also post some of our field reports and things. I'm a big believer of always posting what we're doing. That's why on the Facebook page, once again, you always see me doing a Facebook Live up and posting things. This is let you know what we're doing out there, regardless if we're finding something or not. I think it's really important. It's the only way we can learn from each other. So we always tell everything what we do, what we're doing, what we're not doing, and that's that. So without further ado, I'm gonna click in our guest. She wants to remain anonymous, and that's fine. We've talked about any kind of guests that come on the show. You don't have to tell us your name and everything like that. We talk on the backside, and we understand this is a sensitive subject for some people. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring her in and kind of talk about her encounters up in the Adirondacks. And now we're getting into the meat of this subject. So let me bring her in, and we'll go from there. Hey, what's going on?
Hi, how are you, Gary?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me tonight.
No, thank you for coming forward and talk to us and everything. So this is really, this is awesome. Basically, like the meat of the show is just everyday people that are just having these experiences, not footers like me and other people in the paranormal field, but like everyday people that just are doing whatever they're doing, and next thing you know, they have some sort of encounter. And you said that you had an encounter up in the Adirondacks?
I did, the Southern Adirondacks.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead. Let's go right to it.
Get right to it. Okay. I just want to say a little about myself. Growing up, and even as an adult now, I grew up spending a lot of time with my family exploring woods area, and I've heard a lot of different creatures such as moose, bear, deer, skunks. I can't exactly say that I'm an expert in Bigfoot, but when I pulled up to this destination in the Southern Adirondacks, as soon as I opened the door, I heard a heavy, large, it had to have been at least over a 600-pound biped jogging through an area in front of my car. I would say it was probably about 40 feet in front of me. The reason why I could tell it was a biped was the sound of how it was jogging through the bush and the swinging of the arms, like getting momentum to go. And a couple of minutes later, the sound faded into walking in the distance, about like the northeast of me. And then when I couldn't hear the walking noises anymore, I heard 2-3 knocks to the east and southwest of me within a couple of minutes apart, as well as some noises that I've heard that I've never heard from animals come before. And I've heard animals that are normally in the woods, such as owls and skunks. It was just absolutely insane. Something I can't really, other than put into words, tell you how it was.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's definitely super amazing, and like you say, especially because you're witnessing things that we witness as Bigfoot researchers, as far as like tree knocks and things like that. And it seems to sound like that you had multiple knocks, which then would mean that you were possibly dealing with 2 different Sasquatches in that area.
Yeah, I went to go get a bat out of the trunk of my car, not realizing that I had locked my car, and then when I went to go open my trunk, my car alarm went off, and then all of the sounds that I was experiencing before just seemed to go quiet. But I definitely interrupted something I believed to be a Bigfoot in that area, and it definitely did not want me there.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And like I say, you basically must have popped up right up on them. Like say they're near the road. We do get a lot of claims. I mean, it's actually common. We do hear a lot of witnesses come forward that, the Bigfoots and Sasquatches do, basically follow along the sides of the road. A lot of sighting reports, people that see, they cross the roads. To me, as a researcher, it would kind of make sense that they would stay close but out of sight, because the areas near roads, a lot of time, they're almost like Squatch highways, ha ha ha. But they can actually move a lot easier through the brush there, because a lot of places the woods are a lot thinner near the roads. So yeah, and it's exactly kind of like what it almost sounds like that you may have encountered. They were basically, you kind of snuck up on them and surprised them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So, all right, well, I want you to stay with us for a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to put clips here, and you can kind of tell me, what these, what are you witnessing in these clips and things like that, and we'll go from there with it. So, all right, so for our Footer Nation, what's going on? Let's go. So what we're going to do is play some audio clips for you. And if you have headphones, I would say put them in. If not, crank that volume up, all right? So I want to make sure everybody hears everything, and we'll kind of explain. And then for our guests, make sure to chime in whenever you want. This is, you're on the show now, so it's your show right now. So the first clip I'm going to play for everybody is would basically be something walking through the woods, okay? A biped walking through, and we're going to play it and see what you think about it.
So far we've had walking, a tree knock, and we just heard a howl. We just pulled in. Walking. So far we've had walking.
All right, so there's a clip. I'm going to isolate it now so you can hear the walking. So this is going to be an ISO clip.
Walking.
All right, so what do you think about that?
It makes me feel like I'm one of the thousands of people that have had the same experience that I had. I mean, it sounds so similar to what I experienced. It's not even crazy. And at first, when it happened, I was so scared of shit. I was like, holy shit, did that just happen? And then, the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I hope that other people that, are like me, that believe but have never experienced it, get to experience it, because it's definitely something very cool.
Yeah, it really is. When we're in the woods and we're doing our thing, we're up in the middle of Nowheresville, and when you start having these type of encounters, it really puts the human element in, and that's why, having guests, that's what we want, is a human element. You kind of get into, the fright and flight, or do you get jazzed, you know what I mean? Or you're just like, oh, fuck, what's going to go on now? So it's you're basically having the same experiences, and that's amazing, and that's what we kind of look for. You only know how you feel. You're the only one that knows how you feel, Cool.
Right.
So
it was scary, but I wanted more to happen, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it's that, yeah, because you want the answers. You want whatever it is,
right.
You know what I mean? But in the same sense, you don't want to come face to face with it and be like, hey, what's going on?
Right.
Then what are you going to do?
Right.
Cool. So, all right. So, exactly. That's it. Everybody gets the selfies. That's it. But I got to carry a selfie stick instead of a baseball bat next time. All right. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Oh, there you go. So all right. So this next clip that we're going to show the Footer Nation here is what a tree knock is. Okay. And this may be similar to what you sound like. So let's see what we got here. Take 2. Action.
Gary's gonna whoop again. Tree knock. No, record that was tree knock.
All right, Footer Nation, one more time. I'm going to do this ISO, so this is the knock itself.
Again.
One more time.
Again.
All right, so what do you think about that?
It definitely sounds like a tree knock, or definitely like a rock being thrown at a tree.
Yep, and you know what? That's awesome that you said that. We actually have some audio clips that I'm not going to show one tonight, but at our lecture we'll be showing it of rocks and what they sound like. But yeah, it's sometimes, and that's interesting that you brought that point up. And one thing I've been kind of pondering in my head a little bit, as of recently, like, you know, when we pick up branches in the woods as researchers, or even just everyday people, and we start smacking them against trees, it is almost impossible to make that same sound on every single tree. 9 times out of 10, if we do it, we pick up, you know, a piece of wood that's off the ground, it's half rotted, been sitting there forever. What happens the minute you hit the tree? They snap right in half, right? So now, if we kind of back up a little bit, now think what you just said. It could be rocks. Part of me even wonders, from the sounds that, you know, the rocks make and things like that, if they almost throw rocks at trees. So we have this whole thing about tree knocking and being like, all right, but I just want, like, one day, just go in the woods, grab a stick, and start pounding on trees. In every tree, it's almost like music. Every tree, depending on how thick the tree is, the density of the tree, they're all different. Like, you can never get that same exact sound. But when you throw a rock at a tree, go ahead.
I was just going to say, not to mention, like, the area that we were in. I mean, I had to go get a baseball bat because there wasn't sticks available to, like, make that kind of noise. But there's always rocks in the woods. Like, there's all different shapes and sizes. But, you know, people use, like, sticks for firewood or to start a fire. So I think the rock thing is a lot more plausible than, like, a stick, unless you're, like, deep in the woods, not, like, in a generally populated area.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I wouldn't actually disagree with that. You know, when I go knock in the woods, I do a few sticks. I do pick up a stick. I find a nice hard one, and I carry that. I don't even put that thing down. That thing stays with me to the end. But in the same sense, when you kind of think about it, and, you know, when you're actually in the midst of, when we get these tree knocks to us, they're the same type of sound always. And even when we hear multiple knocks, it's almost identical. So because it's almost identical every time, one has to kind of think, maybe, just maybe, it's actually not sticks that they're using against these trees. Maybe they're throwing rocks against the trees. There's so many stories of, you know, people getting rocks thrown at them while they're in the woods by a possible squatch or a pissed off squatch. We hear about it often. Sometimes squatches use pebbles, and I've been hit personally with pebbles in the middle of the woods. What throws pebbles in the woods? I don't know. But basically just to prod to see what you'll do. So if this is, you know, if we go by this theory, let's stop and think about it from a whole now. Let's think of it logically. Maybe it's easier for them, you know, they would carry rocks. Who knows? I mean, and they basically can throw rocks against trees because they throw rocks at people. So, I mean, there's so many possibilities.
Yeah,
awesome.
Really is.
All right. Cool. All right, and we got one more clip we're going to show on tonight's show. Now, this is a kind of a clip, and this is kind of going outside of really the thinking. We're doing some good brainstorming tonight, so this is awesome. So basically, one thing that we believe on our team, once again, is that Sasquatch would be able to affect you with what's called infrasound, okay? All the largest primates, also whales, blue whales, elephants, they basically are able to give off infrasound, all right? We may have, and this is, once again, a possibility, caught in a clip of possible infrasound, and when we're having Sasquatch behavior happen right in front of us, okay? So I'm going to basically put that on a loop, all right? And you may have actually heard it in one of the clips that we played already at the very end. So we're going to kind of put it on loop, and then we'll kind of just talk about a little bit. Because we say, it's not something that we always hear, but your body goes into the, you know, fight or flight mode. And I personally have had that happen multiple times in the woods out of nowhere when we were having some, you know, Sasquatch behavior happen. And then within basically a good 10, 20-minute period of time, I was so fucked up, I was like, I want to leave. And I'm not the type of person that wants to get out of the woods. Like, I love the woods. And I love doing this work. But when all of a sudden I got goosebumps, I have a massive migraine out of nowhere, we are having Bigfoot behavior happen around us, you got to stop to think about it, you know, on the way home, you're kind of like, I wonder if I was getting hit with infrasound. So let's play that clip and we'll see.
Walking.
All right, I'm going to play it one more time. So this during the walking clip. So you're going to hear Bigfoot walking through the woods, a possible Bigfoot walking through the woods, and then right after you can hear 3, and that's what we're looking for in the clip. I'll play it one more time.
It's walking.
So did you hear that on the backside?
I did.
And now, when you were having when you had your encounter, did you get like scared in any way? Did you feel anything that may get you into, flight and fright mode, or just like jazz? Like, I can't believe I'm witnessing this.
I guess I was a little bit of both. Like you had said, just as long as it wasn't coming for me, I kind of wanted to experience more. But I was definitely scared of shit. But it was still really cool.
Awesome. All right, we're going to ask you a couple questions before we let you go here. And, basically, for our guests and audience, like I say, the main thing, like I keep saying over and over, we're just everyday people having experiences, and, we're just doing what we do, all right? People think we may be crazy and things like that, but, fuck them. We know what we experience. We know what we deal with on a daily basis. So after you had your experience, like say you said that you never had experiences up till this time, right?
Right.
And you say you've lived in the woods, so you understand how woods behavior is per se with all the animals and things like that. So like after you had this, basically Bigfoot encounter, like how did it make you feel after you experienced it? Like when you were like, you had time to digest it.
I definitely thought it was cool. It definitely made me research more about different stories that other people have experienced, to maybe see if like something I had seen in my past woods experience, if something like that was similar. But it is definitely something that I would explore more, maybe not like as my focal point, but I'd be more aware of my surroundings when I do go out. I grew up watching movies like the cliche movie Harry and Henderson's. I've seen that a dozen times, and I'm a firm believer that Bigfoot is real. Just because I don't see it every day doesn't mean that it's not real. Talking about seals that we're seeing now, you don't see a seal every day, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So that's just how I think about things like that. I feel like people just wouldn't make up things for them not to be real unless they actually saw it for themselves. So that's how my encounters kind of open my horizons to different things. So
cool. Yeah, no, it's cool. That's cool. And that's what happens. It takes one thing just to seeing, almost like seeing is believing, but hearing what you witness is believing. You're the one that witnessed it. And basically you already answered the next question I was going to kind of ask you was, did this encounter really change your thinking of Bigfoot? Like now do you perceive the woods differently?
I do. Like I said, I'm probably going to be more aware of my surroundings, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, you kind of answered that in the last question. That's the thing is like, people have these encounters. I know when I go into the woods and stuff like that, basically it is different. Like you just have like that subconscious thing, like, the what ifs kind of with that. And, and the last question, before we let you go here tonight, is, what do you have to say to the people who, don't think Bigfoot really exists?
I can't really say much, I guess, to people that think that Bigfoot doesn't exist. Everyone's entitled to think what they want. If everyone thought the same, life would be pretty freaking boring, right? But all I can say is once you experience an encounter, you'll start to understand and wonder more about what other people have experienced in their life with a Bigfoot, just like myself. But just don't try to tell anybody otherwise. They experience what they experience, and they're allowed to believe what they want to believe, and just accept it or don't listen.
Yeah, and that's the best way to put it, you know what I mean? Like I say, like, don't bother the people that believe in the stuff because it's not bothering you. You know what I mean? So if we don't bother you, don't bother us. That's kind of the best way to say it. Well, thank you so much for your time. You did awesome, and, our guests are going to love this. So, want to hear these kind of stories, and you have your counter, and we're able to show clips that, basically you're able to back up with your, what you experienced too. And, this is the experience that we've captured. So once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me and letting me share my story.
Of course. All right. You have a good night, and don't stop listening because we still got more to talk about.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bigfooter Nation. So there we go. We had, basically a witness come forward, and this is what we want. We want you guys to come forward, and ladies, come and talk to us about things. It doesn't. You can be anonymous. You don't have to, basically, put out your whole, government out there. But in the same sense, it's important that we talk about these stories. Not just us talking stories. So we got basically 15 minutes left of the show, and we're cruising along. So we're going to go into, basically Bigfoot in the Adirondack. There was one in the southern Adirondacks, is what she said. We showed a bunch of clips from our research area, okay, which is in the southern and central, basically, part of the Adirondacks. All right. One of our hotbeds that we investigate, as I said, is the Adirondack region. Okay. Back when I first started, my mentor and things like that, he was showing me the roots of the Adirondacks. We also investigated Vermont and other areas. So the Adirondacks are so large. Right? I mean, the Adirondack Park alone, we're looking at basically, it's basically, it's forever wild. You know what I mean? It means nothing touched in the park. It's so old. The Adirondack Park was established in 1892. So think about this. All this land is just sitting there. When you go up into the Adirondacks, there's so much forest everywhere. Anything could hide in here. It's like, you're talking about, basically millions of acres. I mean, millions of acres. It's insane. The Adirondack Park is the biggest protected park in the country. It's right in our backyard. From Albany, it's basically an hour, 45-minute drive, and boom, we're in the Adirondack Park. So, it's right sitting in our backyard. So, and what's really cool, like I said, it's forever wild. Like, it's protected. So any kind of, basically a Sasquatch creature, it's been there forever. We'll never find it because in these areas, I want to say we'll never find it. These areas are so vast, it's hard to find these things. We see them, but they're very hard. They have so much acreage just to go around. So, it's pretty awesome. All right. So basically, when we talk about the Adirondacks, it's really cool. The two TV shows I was involved in, they were both placed in the Adirondacks. So it's kind of cool, like this on, national TV, we're basically investigating in our backyard, which was awesome and an awesome experience to do, and basically show our hometown. And, this is our hometown. The Adirondacks is basically where we set up shop. Whitehall, New York, as we talked about a little bit in our last show, it's basically, it's Bigfoot capital of the Northeast, all right? One of the biggest Northeast Bigfoot sightings came out of there in the 1970s. In 1976, 3 people reported seeing a Bigfoot, and kind of like it just kind of blown up from there. There's so much history of Whitehall, which that will be a whole nother episode, so I don't want to, basically go into it, but, we're just going to touch on it. And and Bigfoot's so big in Whitehall, they made Bigfoot their official animal. It's official. Like, that's, so definitely, once again, something's going in there. I believe, once again, I call it the Bigfoot Highway. Bigfoot kind of just rolls right through Whitehall. We got the Adirondacks, we got Vermont, we got Whitehall smack right in the middle. So it's almost, in my opinion, it's almost like a Bigfoot highway, which would make sense. Next, we got basically the Old Forge and Bleecker areas of New York, okay? Multiple sighting reports come out of those areas. I did actually a lecture out in Bleecker last summer, and the amount of sighting reports I was getting from that lecture was amazing. I've also done a couple investigations out there. It's super squatchy. There's just so much land, but there's so untouched land in those areas, out in the Old Forge and out in that area of New York, right smack in the middle of the Adirondacks, basically. It's in the southern part of the Adirondacks, it's like smack in the middle. Very squatchy, heavily forested areas. Some of those areas I was going through were super thick, and I could definitely see it being super squatchy. Saranac Lake area, we've investigated out there, and let me tell you, a lot of reports come from Saranac Lake. A lot of campers, a lot of people, that are out in the lake. The cool thing about Saranac Lake that I find very interesting, it's a lot of howls. We get a lot of vocals. Now, as we all know, vocals could be anything. Owl, once again, can sound crazy in the woods. Even a red fox, when they scream in the woods, it could sound like a Bigfoot. But we do also get some tree knock encounters from hikers and things like that. So Saranac Lake area is very squatchy, beautiful, beautiful place. And even if you're not finding a Bigfoot up there, the hiking in the area, especially in the summer, is amazing. So a lot comes out of Saranac Lake, though. Not from footprints and everything. So it's it's a very squatchy area. Lake Placid. Now, Lake Placid, we get multiple reports in the lower high peaks. All right. We've actually been going up there recently. Once again, they wouldn't, in my opinion, right now, on the top of the mountains, there's about 10 feet of snow up there. It's like 7 to 10 feet. It's insane. Bigfoot, the Sasquatches would be in the lower lands where the snow depths are a lot lower. Also in the pines, all right? The deer and everything, a lot of the animals hang out in the pines in the winter months. Why wouldn't a Sasquatch do the same? Also, the pines are very easy to navigate. They're more wide open areas and things like that. So, but we do get a lot of reports there from vocalizations to tree knocks, a lot of the same type of activity, and that's what's awesome. In all these different places that we're naming tonight, they're getting the same type of activity. Weird tree knocks, things screaming at nighttime, in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. A lot of vocalizations, what I'm noticing in the Adirondacks, come at basically between 11 and 3 a.m. A lot of the things that I've read, a lot of the reports that I've read, that seems to be when a lot of things are screaming, which is, it's kind of interesting because you would think, things get active, toward nighttime and, sunset. But, once again, it seems like they might be in, hunting mode that time. Who knows? They're traveling at night easier, they can't be seen, things like that. So, these are the same reports we get over and over, though. The Lake George area, okay? The Lake George area, we look at Lake George, we look at Whitehall, we look at Scroon Lake. They're all very close together. Lots of Bigfoot reports in the past have come out of those areas, okay? Multiple people on Lake George out on boats have seen a supposedly primate-type monkey creature on the shores of Lake George. Scroon Lake, if you actually look at our Facebook page and we posted them up, the snow print pictures that we posted, those came out of the Scroon Lake area, okay? Once again, very squat area, a lot of forest. But what's interesting about these areas is, once again, there's a lot of people in these areas. Sightings are happening more and more because there's just so many people in the woods now, especially hikers. Hiking is a big thing now. It's because of Instagram, because, Facepalm. It's basically blown up. So a lot of people just want to take those summit pictures. So in these areas, we're getting a lot of activity, a lot of sightings from basically back road crossings, prints being found. We've found prints. Basically, overnight camping encounters. People that are camping at night, all of a sudden having a possible Squatch come into campsites and throwing rocks at their tent or going through their food. And it's not a bear situation. So, these stories are coming out of the southern Adirondacks. And basically, that kind of covers, what's going on up in the St. Lawrence, Valley, all the way up in Plattsburgh area. Squatch reporting, we just got some Squatch reportings out of there a month ago. So, we're looking at, there's just so much forest in these areas. So, these little clans, family clans, it makes sense that basically, they have so much room to hide, so much room to, do whatever they want. But, it's funny, we talk about, they're in the woods, we can't find them, things like that. But they seem to be in the same spots. They seem like, a lot of the sighting reports come out of the same areas. So what we learned by then is, yes, they have all this forest to use, but just like most animals, just like most humans, we all tend to stay in our areas. We don't really go too far out of our areas. We may vacation out of our area and come back, but we don't stay too far out of our home areas and home bases. So that's something to really think about. As going forward with research in the Adirondacks in general, but research everywhere. But tonight we're talking about the ADKs. So, what are our findings? And we're going to take some calls. So if anybody wants to call in right now, we'll get you on the air. It is call in 646-716-9928. Feel free to call in, and we'll talk a little bit about Bigfoot as we're coming to the end of our show. Time always goes so fast. It really does. But, it's nice. It's nice, good talk. So if anybody wants to call in, we can talk about Bigfoot in the Adirondacks. But, so basically, what do we find in the Adirondacks? we find basically that the Squatches in our research areas, which we researched in 3 different areas throughout the Adirondacks, seem to be in there more in the spring, okay? Yes, we have found these tracks in the winter. This is the first time that we found winter tracks, and winter sign, as I like to call it. Winter's tough. The tracks that, I found were along a creek bed, okay? So, once again, an easy way for a Squatch to walk, wide open, can kind of walk around. I did find 2 tracks next to each other, which was basically, that's big, you know what I mean? A lot of people are like, oh, you only find 1 track, where's the other track? Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I found 2 next to each other, and they're going right down into the creek bed. I don't know what to tell you. They're both right there. One had toe prints, so he or she dug right into the snow. But, and then a hiker walked through, probably not even knowing that what it was there. Happens all the time. We don't always watch where we walk. And then there's another print going right down the creek bed. Lots of rocks they can walk on and walk right over, so it was there. But most of the time, we find our activity to be up into the springtime. They seem to come back in. There's a lot of food. A lot of the reports start coming early spring, probably around, almost now, like April into May. We get a lot of hiker reports because, once again, the hikers start getting into the woods. There's a lot of challenges up there now. The Lake George 12ster, the 40. I'm doing the 46er, things like that. You have the Saranac 9. I mean, you got all these. Or 6, I think, something like that. But you got all these different, challenges now that are getting more people into the woods. All winter, people are in the woods snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. People are in the woods, and that's why people are now seeing these more and more. Also, you got to think about it. They could be also being pushed out of their land, with so much building, which it sucks so bad that everything's being built up everywhere. It would kind of push the animals a little bit into different areas and kind of start sandwiching them. So if, we're talking about Bigfoots being in certain areas, which it seems they are, with all the building and things like that may be going on, in certain areas, it would push them just like it would push the animals. So, we have all these things that kind of squishing them into certain areas. But with so many people in the woods right now, things are up. With the past couple of years, we're seeing sighting reports really high, which is good for us because now we're actually learning more about the behaviors and what we're going to basically be finding and looking for when we go into the woods. So. No one called, so we're not going to have time for any calls tonight. But it's cool, you know what I mean? Like I say, if anybody basically to kind of sum up this, if anybody has any, would like to come on air, would like to tell their story, we want you. We want you to tell your stories. That's what we're here about, you know what I mean? Let's hear, we want to hear what you experience, how does it relate to what we do? Can we back up your claims by what we're finding? That's what it's about. And just like I say, just tell your story and share it. There's nothing. The only way we're gonna, basically learn more about this mystery is by sharing our stories. And basically, and the Adirondacks, like I say, it's a beautiful area. For everybody that's been there, everybody that lives there, everybody that has, them come up through their backyards and they sit there and go rummage through their garbage cans. We hear about that often. A lot of camps we get a lot of, basically reports of their camps like being, looks like something broke in, like a possible Squatch. We can't prove that because we're not there, and even the people that are there can't prove it. But they, once again, despite the activity, like doors being busted open, there's multiple claims with people at their camps during the summer, and a Squatch is looking at them in the window, or outstanding in their yard on the wood line, So coming out of this area, there's just so much evidence, so many claims, so many sighting reports that, we're left with, this is awesome. It's, basically this could help solve the mystery. But also on a creepy side, if you ever read the book Missing 411, there is a spot in the Adirondacks where people randomly go missing and are never found again, or they're found, basically dead and they're very far away. So it's a weird thing. Could it be Sasquatch related? Could it be, it's really strange. So there are different, things that do happen up there. So we're going to continue our research going into 2019. Like I say, we've already been up there 3 times already this year. We have a lot of things going on, and we're going to keep it up, all right? So with that being said, everyone, thank you for listening to tonight's show, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with another topic. Until then, everyone, keep it squatchy.
Thank you for listening to the NYBS radio show. Tune in next time as we continue our search for Bigfoot right here in the great state of New York. Until next time, friends, keep it squatchy, and we'll see you out on the trail.